All right, guys, here is a quick kind of assembly build video. I'm not gonna assemble the whole thing and reprint it because I don't think I'm ever gonna need to. I don't think I'm gonna crash this thing. It flies that good. But if you bought the file and you want a little more information on how this thing goes together, I'm gonna go over that with you right now. So I have it plugged in. It rocks a 2400. Well, this is a 2400 SMC that is the weight of a 2000. I always talk about it, but I love their packs because you have more capacity with a lighter weight battery. So 4S battery, you can probably get away with a 2200 to a 2800. I got everything ready to go here. So it uses a 4x4 setup. So 2 servos, and it literally, you only need to just run an Elevon mix. So you just run an Elevon mix with, and you'll see, I'll show you in a second how the push rods are connected, 4 push rods connected to 2 servos. So there's 2 X-Fly 40 millimeter. It's the 4S 40 millimeter units. I linked them in the description of the file, and I absolutely love them. They're great. The whole plane comes in at 850 grams. So if you're plus or minus 50 grams, no big deal. As long as you're under 950, you're not going to have a problem. It'll fly great. So this is as complicated as it gets right here. Okay. This is my receiver, and I have, it's upside down, but I got my throttle cable that goes into a Y. So you can see my Y here. And then each one of these is an ESC. So let me show you what ESCs they are. I linked these ESCs. These tiny, tiny little guys are the ESCs. You can see them right there, okay? I think they're like Fly Dragon or something. So those are the Fly Dragon ESCs. And I have a 2 servos Elevon mix going in here. So, and the battery sits literally kind of right in between this panel line right here, and it balances perfect. The CG is right here. So this is your CG. When you pick up the plane, you just hold it right in between the canard and the main wing. All right. So I'm gonna just unplug this real quick so it doesn't get hot. Okay. So I'm just gonna tuck this stuff. What I do is I just tuck the stuff back behind the battery. And the weight and the balance is absolutely perfect. So let me just do that real quick. Okay, so it's all buttoned up. So while I'm on the control surfaces, before I talk, this is kind of all backwards right now. Let me just flip this thing over real quick. All right, okay, all righty. So when you're running an Elevon mix, especially with a Spectrum transmitter, the way that it works for me is I always put the servo in with the wire facing the front of the plane. So when you put your servo arm, when you screw your servo arm onto the servo, make sure that that's facing up and the wire's going this way. This wire is in this corner and it's going this way. That's why I design my planes with the hole going that way. This, I repaired this print through hole on the file. So what I recommend doing, let me just get to the push rod. So when you're building the plane, you're gonna glue this section, this section, this section, and this section. So from the back, I glue this to this, to this, and this. Okay, you glue these together because you kind of need to stick your fingers in here in this part to pull the wires through. It makes it easier. If you use like safety wire or like any kind of coat hanger, you can fish things out with you bend a little hook on it and you can pull the stuff out. But to make it easier for this is as easy as can be. This whole area here, when you install the EDFs, like I said, let's go back to the beginning. You're gonna glue this section to this section, and this section to this section. So just do these 4 main fuselage sections. Get your EDFs like dry fit them in there. Don't glue them in. You're going to need standard size Amazon motor wire extensions. They're 3.5 millimeter ESC extensions. So you're going to need 2 sets of those for each motor. So you're going to need 6 total wires. And what I do is I use electrical tape, and I plug in any wire you want into the motors, and then I tape the 3 from this motor together with electrical tape on the end, and then I tape the 3 wires coming off with the extensions from this motor with either tape, or you don't have to tape them because this trunk of 3 wires is taped, just so you don't get them confused. And then you send each set of motor wires down here, and they're gonna come out to about right here. Get your ESCs, and you plug your ESCs into those 6 wires, your 2 ESCs into those motor wires, and make sure before you glue anything else together or you tape those ESC wires to the extension wires, you want to make sure that air's blowing out both of these this way. Once that's all set up and you know that your motors are running in the right direction, you have your air going out the back of the plane instead of out the intakes, now you can put electrical tape around your motor ESC wires, and so that, always tape them, because if your one motor wire comes out, your plane's out of commission. You're going to have to cut your plane open, and that's not fun. So another improvement I made was I took 2 millimeters off the bottom of the EDF covers, so these will sit flat. I just trimmed them off with a knife. I don't care how this stuff looks for my prototypes. Even though this is going to probably last me forever. So run your motor wires, and then you're going to need a short, I think a 6-inch extension on the servo. So you take your servo, the light colored servo wire matches up with the light colored extension. That's how they match up when you connect them together. And then the dark meets the dark. So you want to electrical tape that, and then you're going to shove the extension and the wire through to here, and you're going to see it come out. You're going to look in through the, I would wait to glue this front of the plane on until you have your wires sticking out through here. All the wires, they all reach about to here. So it's advised to just glue this part of the fuselage up to here until you have all your wires sticking through. Get them in your receiver, and make sure, like I like to get the servos powered up so that I can adjust the servo arm so that it's straight up and down before I glue these in. The last thing I do is glue the servos in. Okay, so now that's all good. Now you have, your servos are going the right direction. Your EDFs are blowing the right way. Now you can glue the rest of the stuff together because you have access to your receiver. And then now you're gonna do your push rods. Okay, so this is super simple. I provide my control horns. I provide those. You can print those out of PLA Plus. Okay. And for assembly, the L's, I have L's printed into literally everything. I have an L printed into the left aileron, this left main wing, this left wingtip. I have an L printed into the left tail control surface or elevator. So L's all there. Oh, and there's an L on the canard too, so you can't mess anything up. So L, 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 and an L. So no instruction manual needed here, okay? You have 4 control horns, all right? And the way I put the control horns in is basically I do the push rods first. So I take my 1.2 millimeter push rod, and I do a bend with pliers, and the back, I wanted more control authority on the elevator. So I put that on the top hole, okay? And then the aileron goes on the bottom, or the second hole down, and then that comes over to the aileron, okay? You always want to have your Z-bend and the front of your control horn in the gap of the control surface. So you can see the bend, the Z-bend is basically lined up with your gap on the control surface. So that's pretty much what I did. You kind of want to like bend the Z-bend so that this is kind of headed in this direction here, and then this Z-bend is kind of like it's really intuitive once you do it. But I started out with the one below, and I did the aileron first. I bent the Z-bend so that it just lined up with this gap, and then I cut a little slit in the control surface with a razor knife, and then I dropped my 2 or 3 drops of CA glue into the hole that I just cut, and then I put my control horn on the push rod, and then I push it right down into the oh, this is telling me it's gonna run out of battery soon. And then I push the control horn into the CA glue. I do use activator so I can keep it in place, and I keep it nice and straight, and it lines itself up with the push rod. So that is perfectly in line right there. And then I do the same thing here. I make a slit with my razor knife. I stick the control horn in there, and let me show you kind of the height that I have it at. So that's about the height. It's pretty low because you want to have a lot of a control throw on there. So that's about the height on the elevator. I try to make everything even, okay? And then that's the height right there. Now, after everything is good to go, I glue in my control horns. Everything is solid, nothing's moving, everything's real solid. The last thing I do is heat up my hot glue gun, and then you're gonna take your hot glue, and I just kind of just drizzle it in here. It doesn't need a lot. I mean, this is never going anywhere. And basically what I do is I'll push the servo down, and I'll kind of just make sure that everything is lined up. All the control surfaces are straight and nice and flush. Okay, so that's basically an overview of that. And then you just basically glue everything together. You have an L on all these pieces, so you can't get it wrong, and you're not going to get it wrong. If you're having trouble with things like the canard, or this was a little bit tricky to get it to stay perfectly flush, you just kind of use your fingers to hold it in place. Then you just maybe a spritz of accelerator, and then it'll all fly perfectly no matter what. I'm trying to think what else I can tell you about the this didn't print good for me because I printed this whole wing base section on the build plate facing like up. This was facing up, and so this had an overhang on it, so that didn't print well. So what I did was I sliced this piece for you right here. So you're going to print it from this side up, and then you're going to print it from this side up, so that everything's going to print perfectly. This will print without having a problem. So that was just a screw up on my part. I just didn't remember that there was an overhang there. But everything is pretty self-explanatory. I showed this on my other video, but this is a tongue and groove. So this tongue goes in there. All you need is two 10mm magnets. One there, CA glued, spritz it. One there, and that's just about that. Trying to think what else. I can't really think of any other things that I need to go over with the build. In terms of throw, what I would do, guys, this is not this is not going to stall out on you with too much elevator. So if you set up the holes the way I have them, I don't think many people are going to run their control horns as low as me. So you're going to be fine on everything. I would start out with 25%. Even start out with 30% expo on your roll rate. That's going to smooth everything out. Start out with 10% expo on your pitch. You run your rates at 100%. Just run them at 100%. This is such a docile flyer, it's not going to bite you. It's not going to fly itself into the ground. I mean, unless you're used to flying gyroed airplanes, maybe bring the rates down a little bit. I mean, use your judgment. It's a very, very predictable. It is super easy flying plane. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And there's really nothing else to say. If you have any other questions or if I missed anything, just ask it in the comments and I'll make another video if you want to know more information. So, thanks for watching it. Thanks for everyone who purchased the airplane. And, I'm going to, hopefully it's raining tonight or today, but tonight it's supposed to clear up a little bit. So maybe, later on after dinner, I'll go fly this thing again and get another video up. So, let me know.